squirrels in my attic. I got bats in my head. Well, Bob just leaned over the counter and he shook his head and said, you need home repairs and solutions. Home repairs and solutions. They'll fix your windows, they'll fix your house. They'll even tell you how to get rid of a mouse. Home repairs and solutions.
Welcome to Home Repairs and Solutions, brought to you by Spring Mountain Air. Your host for Home Repairs and Solutions is Mary Pearson and Mark Withers. Spring Mountain Air is your authorized Amana dealer. And now here's your hosts, Mary and Mark.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? Did you slide on in here today, Mr. Mark?
I slid on in.
I did too. I came up from the lake. I thought this junk was going to hit later.
Well, that's what I'd been hearing, that it was, going to be later today, and it was kind of surprising to wake up, and I walked out, and my truck was covered with ice, and,
Yeah, my driveway was slick when I left it a little after 6 this morning already.
Uh-huh.
So it took me a little while to get here today, but that's good. I'm here.
You're here.
Good.
That's the main thing.
I did make it. I did see a few people ahead of me that didn't make it.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, thank goodness I was not one of them.
Yep, that's right.
But here we are in sunny Home Repairs and Solutions land.
We always say this, the sun always shines every Friday morning right here in the AM 560 KWTO studio.
That's right. It does.
Yep.
So we don't care what the weather's doing outside when we're in here. We just have a good time.
We're in here to have a good time and pass a little information along to everybody. And so, hey, I got somebody, while I'm thinking about it, before we get started,
Okay.
I want to say hi to somebody. My good buddy Jack over at Missouri Mill Works, and they build all the doors and stuff for like Jan's Lumber that's on, and so they supply doors and windows and everything for our new houses. And Jack's a faithful listener over there, so I want to say good morning to Jack, and then my buddy John Heights. I haven't said hi to him for a while, so.
Well, I'm glad that they're with us every
They
Friday.
are every Friday.
That's great.
Yeah.
Hopefully they have as much fun as we do, and hope maybe they'll learn a few things along the way too.
Maybe.
We always do.
We always learn something.
We always learn something new, which is good. So you can teach an old dog a new trick.
That's true. That's true. You can. So.
Well, today we have a great guest with us on the show. He hasn't been on since 2011, and we missed him somehow last year. We won't do that again. But this is my friend Jerry Koeneman, and he's with the Springfield Fire Department. And we love to bring him on this time of year to talk about fire safety and maybe some hazards that you might have around the home that you're not aware of or thinking about.
Right.
The last thing we want to do is have your house burned down before Christmas.
Oh, absolutely.
So welcome to the show, Jerry. I'm so glad you're with us today.
And good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Good morning. I guess one of the things that we will just start with is you can maybe talk about some of the hazards or some of the things that you guys see happening this time of year that could be prevented for folks.
Well, obviously, to start off first is just the driving, making sure everybody is wearing their seatbelt, driving safe, keeping a nice distance in between vehicles, because you need all the traffic, everybody's sliding around. So that'd be the first part, is just to get home safely or just stay at home. That would be best advised. Probably the next biggest thing at this time of year, of course, the temperatures are a little chilly, so heating becomes a problem with people. So making sure, number one, if they're using central air in their furnace, make sure that gets cleaned or looked at probably at least every year or once a year. Definitely if you have a fireplace, this is pretty important. Make sure you burn just seasoned wood in that fireplace. And probably, it's not too late at this point. It's always good before the season starts, but maybe have the chimney inspected and cleaned every year. We have quite a few occurrences where people just neglect the chimney and soot will build up in there, and the next thing you know, they've got a nice big flue fire.
Just a few weeks ago, we had a gentleman on here who actually does that, and he was talking about that exact same thing. And oftentimes, I think people overlook the flue part of their fireplace.
Absolutely.
You don't think about it.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yep.
They enjoy it all winter, and then when the nice warm weather hits, they close everything up and they forget about it.
Yeah.
But that's still sitting there, and it builds up every year. And then, of course, it depends what kind of wood that they burn. Some people don't plan ahead and maybe buy some green firewood that doesn't burn as clean or as hot, so provides for a lot of buildup. And then, of course, we always have to advise, shouldn't be burning Christmas paper or wrapping paper or anything like that in there, or decorations. So just be careful what you're putting in your fireplace.
all those things. Do you typically tend to have more fires this time of year, or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
December, January, and February are statistically the busiest months, and that's where the most fire occurs nationwide. And Springfield is no different than that.
Okay.
And probably February is probably our biggest month, actually.
Really? I wonder why February. That's interesting to me.
I think people just start getting comfortable or get out of the routines of certain things and not paying attention. We were talking about the fireplace, and probably the big thing, we see this in the wintertime and the summertime when everybody's barbecuing or grilling and using charcoal. And people think, well, the fire's out. We barbecued last night. I'm going to throw the coals in the trash can, and those ashes will hold the heat for several days. And so they'll put them in a big plastic trash can, and next thing you know, they've, takes about several hours, but next thing you know, they've made a little fire that they didn't plan on. And the same thing with fireplace ashes. People, enjoy a nice fire, and then the next morning they'll clean it out, put those ashes in a bucket. They think it's cool, but it should be kept in a metal container. Make sure that fire doesn't spread anywhere. And then, unfortunately, we've also experienced people would take the right steps, put all the ashes into a nice metal container, but then they'll set it outside right next to the house. We've had a couple occurrences where neighbors have set it right next to their fence, their wood fence. So that hot bucket just sits up against that fence for a few hours. The next thing you know, you don't have any more fence. So
that's amazing to me that it stays that hot that long. I would just think that it wouldn't still be that hot. But I've got one for you. I've got a friend of mine, and this happened several years ago. But one day, and they burnt with wood, and one day their son decided to help them out, and he vacuumed out the ashes. And the vacuum cleaner put the vacuum cleaner in the closet, and shortly they have all this smoke coming out of the closet. Yeah, the vacuum cleaner's on fire. I'm like, oh my goodness. So yeah, tell your kids not to vacuum the ashes out of the fireplace.
Yeah, we really recommend. Children always want to help. Just trying to keep them a safe distance from everything.
Yeah, they're real lucky their house didn't burn down.
Yeah.
Very lucky, and that's a big thing with kids. They always want to help this time of year. So
they do.
Putting up decorations is fine. Probably the biggest thing we find this time of year, another thing to look out for, move on to the next subject, is candles.
Yes.
Very nice. Everybody likes to set those out, and very popular. Unfortunately, the kids like that. They like them as well. So we really advise, if you've got a candle, or if you have a candle or several candles in a room, try not to leave the child unattended, because they're very curious at that age, and they just want to know. They'll get close to it and touch it, and they want to see if it'll, they'll move it around. It should be at least 1 foot away from anything that can burn, and that's probably one of the next leading causes this time of year is decorations or candles being too close to all the holiday decorations. So everybody's different. Some people have few decorations. I tend to be like Clark Griswold myself and put out lots of decorations. So
I do too. I put my cabin is pretty full of decorations. So
absolutely. So there's nothing wrong with
including candles.
Yeah, the flameless candles are excellent, very safe alternative. So
but they're not the same. You don't get that neat smell, do you, out of a flameless candle?
Yes, some of them
really?
are. Yes,
do you?
I'm coming up with some. All kinds of varieties. So
okay, I'll have to check
it
those
out.
because but I'm also very careful if I have a lot of people around, or if I do have small children, I don't light my candles.
Right.
So you have to kind of be careful with that too. And the other thing I do is make sure that my candles aren't an open candle. They're either in some sort of glass container, or there's something around them that's some sort of protective, that it's just not a flame that's just sitting there out in the open. So.
And that's really the big thing. If you can put it in a votive container or something, that helps immensely. We just see a lot of times people will buy a candle from a local store and just put it on a plate. That's not, or sit it on the table, and that's not really the thing to do.
No.
Wow. I've always wondered. You see these old pictures of days gone by when people went out and they cut their own Christmas tree down, and around this part of the country is usually a cedar tree.
Yeah.
And they had well, of course back then, really didn't have electricity, so you had all these coal oil lamps, but they had candles sitting all around the Christmas tree to light it. What in the world kept these places from burning down? I
don't know.
The cedar tree gets dry, and it just, it's just like,
yeah.
And but you see all these old pictures, and I wonder back then, compared to now, how many more fires there was back,
I don't know.
Well, it's kind of funny because those type of fires, you would think with all the education and new safety features that those type of fires would decrease.
Yeah.
Nope. Good old human ingenuity. We are keeping at the same pace. We're not gonna let down.
Wow.
One thing about the human race, we're persistent.
Yeah, you're right there.
People find new and inventive ways all the time. So, and now even like Christmas lights, candles, of course, shouldn't be by a live tree. And a live tree is definitely, I think most places you purchase them from, they'll tell you, cut a couple inches off the bottom and make sure you water it every day. But be careful what type of lights you put on there. Some people just start pulling out Christmas lights, and if they're meant for the outdoor, they're supposed to be outdoor, and there's a reason they're designed for that. And indoor lights should be used indoor and on the tree, and make sure, all those safety guidelines are in place. And I always tell guys, like on our department and anybody's workplace, there are certain rules that have to be followed. Right. Well, why do you think those rules came to be? Because somebody's already made that mistake, and that's why this rule's created.
Been there, done that.
Yes, they're not doing anything new, so they're there for a reason. So just follow those rules. And we see people all the time trying to put 20 strands of lights together or 20 extension cords together. So just on the Christmas lights, and it's kind of funny because nationally, a third of all Christmas tree fires are caused by electrical problems. So either using old Christmas lights or too many strands, or they get really dry.
Right.
And like you said, all it takes is one spark, and then that's a pretty good accelerator. A little dry cedar tree.
Yeah.
I have a question. I have an artificial tree, and they have all these that are pre-lighted now. And I've always kind of wondered about. I like that aspect of it, and I think they're really neat. But at some point, how do you? Is there anything you need to check? I mean, I put mine together, and I put those plugins together, and I'm good to go. But is there anything you need to check for on those as well?
No, just make sure proper connections. They're all built, with safety standards in mind. So they've built them with the proper number of lights and the type of lights they have on there.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is a safe alternative.
Okay, and then I never, if I'm not going to be in the house, like if I'm going to run to town or do something, I always unplug all that stuff. I never leave it plugged in if I'm not home.
Absolutely. I would treat Christmas lights just like candles. Everybody likes to drive by and, and see the Christmas lights. So they want their tree on the inside of their house and a big picture window to show everybody.
Right.
Yeah, but that's just not really that safe. I mean, you basically have a light source or a heat source, a light bulb or Christmas lights on a flammable object. So no, you should always be home when those are on.
Well, at least I'm doing that right.
You are.
Got that right today.
Got that right today.
There's
Yay.
one thing.
One for me.
And you drove safely. So
and I drove safely. I got 2 points today.
Yeah. And something we need to do.
What's that?
Just in case there's somebody out there that has a question for Jerry or myself or you, we better give the numbers
We
out.
do. I just get so excited about talking that I forget to do that sometimes.
Well, I know. And I think people, they enjoy listening, so they forget to call. But we want to throw that number out there. If you're local here, it's 862-9977, 1-800-375-0056. If you have a Verizon phone, you can do star 56. Or if you want to send us a text, we will sure try to answer your question. You can do that at 417-838-3192.
Thank you for reminding me of that.
You're welcome.
I was so excited Jerry was here that I just started talking, didn't I?
You did, but
sometimes
that's all
I do
right,
that.
Because, hey, that's all right.
Well, now we have those numbers out there, so our listeners can call in, and we'd love to hear from you today.
Yep.
If you have any kind of questions for Jerry concerning fire safety, or if you want to know if it's okay if you want to do this or want to do that, as far as plugging stuff in or anything like that, he can help you with that, or anything you want to talk about, actually.
That's right.
We can visit with you about whatever's going on with you today.
That's right, we will.
Fantastic. Probably another thing we see a lot this time of year, and people, I'm sure a couple people will probably call in about this, is recreational fires or outside fires in the city of Springfield. So it's not really legal to burn anything in the city of Springfield.
Even in a fire pit?
But if you have, I was just going to say, a recreational fire has to be 3 foot in diameter and shouldn't be any taller than 2 foot, the flame. But if you want to build it for warming or a small recreational fire, that's fine. They do allow that. Fire pits are okay, or if you want to create an area put some rocks or some stones around it. That's fine as well. Mm-hmm. It should only be dry or seasoned firewood.
Yeah.
So don't make.
So if you're chopping down if you're trimming your trees, you shouldn't throw them in a pile and burn.
If you have a brush pile, that is not going to be allowed. And we have a lot of people that attempt. They're like, well, it's just a warming fire with a tree that's been chopped down. So that's not really going to be allowed. And generally the neighbors, get concerned. People get concerned about property lines and fences or their storage sheds or whatever. And that's probably the next biggest thing is just keeping it. That has to be 25 feet from any structure. And that would include storage buildings or fences, anything like that. That's always a good thing. And then you have to have a means of extinguishing that fire at all times. So some people, they'll hook up their garden hose, or of course this time of year, not a good idea, not a viable option.
Yeah,
too much. So just some way to extinguish that fire, and be prepared for that. And then make sure it's not very windy. This time of year, the wind can blow. So if you got any ashes that come from there, and probably the other thing that goes with that, people will say, "Well, I'm having a recreational fire," and we get there and they've either torn half their deck down or they're building the deck and have scrap lumber. So treated lumber is not considered seasoned firewood.
Oh, we could get creative, can't we?
Every day.
Yeah, and that old spare tire laying beside the house, that's not a fire pit,
Nope.
Not a good piece of equipment to put a fire in, I wouldn't think.
It gives off a lot of smoke. I always give people the opportunity. I'm like, well, we can put the fire out, but if you think it's really a cooking fire, if you want to get some food and cook it over that tire or that,
the hot dog on the stick,
Yeah, hot dog on the cooked by treated lumber.
Then you're going to be in the
ER. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I wouldn't. Well, I don't know though. I mean, down at the lake, we can have fires and stuff. We still have regulations and stuff. I don't see a lot of people doing it so much in the winter time, But I wouldn't think that would be a huge thing going on outside this time of year. But it would be cool though if you had some seasoned wood and you had nice snow on the ground and it wasn't sleeting on you and all that. It would be kind of fun to have a little fire outside and sit in the snow and I think that'd be kind of fun. It'd be pretty.
It'd be pretty. I'd particularly rather sit in the hot tub outside in the snow than I would.
Well, that's true. That's true. But if you're in the hot tub, it's going to be hard for you to manage the fire. So, I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I'd rather just have the hot tub and forget the fire.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to combine all that, and I'm thinking,
So you never know. We've had, it's been so cold, the water's freezing over, so we've had some people skating on ponds, have a nice little fire. Off to the side, makes for a great occasion.
Yeah. We haven't had ponds freeze enough yet, have we, to skate on? Not this year? This year we have?
Absolutely.
And how safe is that to be skating on a pond? I don't know. Depends on how deep the pond is, I guess.
Definitely property owners should know definitely how deep that pond is. And you can go out and test it.
How thick does the ice need to be for it to be safe to be on? Do you know?
Depending on the size of the person, but it should be at least 2 inches thick.
Okay.
We like it to be up to 4 inches.
Oh, okay.
So it's been a few years. I'm also used to be on the water rescue team for the fire department. And so that is one of the things that they train in is ice rescue. In fact, this is the perfect weather for it. They'll be doing that training.
Yeah.
So we've had several years ago, everything froze. I mean, I can remember going out to Springfield Lake. It was frozen. We were walking around on it.
Yeah.
In fact, to do our training, we had to take a chainsaw out and actually cut big chunks of ice out. So
and then you got in the water?
Oh, yes.
Oh, God love you, Jerry. I would not do that.
It's not like a polar bear jump or anything. We got protective suits on. It's still a little chilly.
I would think.
It lets you know you're in cold water.
Is it harder to rescue someone in cold water?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Because everything slows down. But on the other side of that, it's good for the patients because we talk about this in medical training all the time. They've had several documented cases of, children playing out on the ice, fall through the ice, get trapped underwater. And they've been trapped for like 45 minutes to an hour, and they've made a full recovery from that.
Yeah, that's amazing to me.
It is.
That is just amazing.
So in that aspect, yes, very much so. It's most people. We've had a few car wrecks they've ended up in cold water, and those people usually just the shock of going into that cold water, take a deep breath, and then pretty much go unconscious for a little bit.
Yeah. I would definitely want to be unconscious.
Oh gosh,
if that happened. Yeah, I don't want to be awake experience all that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But
no, but it's something to think about because people, they're walking their dogs, so they'll, want their dogs to run out on it. And then, of course, if a dog falls through, I understand being, pet owners want to save their children. Mm-hmm. So they'll go out there, and we always tell the people, well, if your dog fell through the ice, what do you think your chances are?
Yeah. The dog probably weighs less than
Most
you do.
of the times the dog weighs less than the person walking them. So
exactly. You know what? That I've also heard that if you are on the ice and you have to go rescue something or whatever, it's better to lie down than stand up and walk on it because that disperses the weight better or something. Is that not true? Or why? What's the lay down thing?
You've got it right there.
Oh, cool.
I don't even need to be here, Mark, really.
Well, I guess
yes,
not.
You do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because that would be the one time I would go and attempt to rescue something is if my dog fell through, then I would be panicked enough that I would try and probably save him. And I always heard that to lay down flat and not stand up and walk across it.
That is exactly right. We need to put you in a suit and put you on the team. Because
no.
That's one of the...
I think that's where people need to really stop and think, whether it's, somebody falls through the ice or whatever. We all get excited and we don't think. We just run out there. And
because it's our instinct to help them.
Because it's our instinct to try to help somebody. And that's where we get ourselves in trouble because we don't just a few seconds to stop and think about what we're doing and think about something we learned back in grade school, can mean, life and death for not only whoever we're trying to save, but us too.
Right. And
so it's important to just stop for a second and think about what you're doing before you do it.
Well, and you do hear of people like maybe saving someone but drowning themselves.
Exactly.
Right.
Absolutely. So, I mean, Mark, that's an excellent point. And we see that in every facet of every emergencies here. This is a wonderful community to live in, to raise a family in, and people want to do the right thing and they want to help. Mm-hmm. But they do put themselves in situations. So we always try to caution them. Make sure the scene is safe for yourself because you're not doing much good if you can't help somebody else.
Now, instead of a one-person rescue, it's a two-person rescue.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, thank goodness for the wonderful invention of cell phones because now everybody calls when something happens.
Yeah.
But people will stop and help, and I probably really get nervous. House fires most of the time the smoke will generally keep people at bay. Mm-hmm. But motor vehicle accidents, and we're going to talk about this a little bit since the weather today lends itself to that. People want to help. They see somebody have an accident. Well, they get out and park, and then we see a lot of people start crossing the road to check on their well behavior. And next thing you know, they're going back and forth across the road, going through traffic.
Yeah.
And it just really creates
scary.
Yes. And we've had several instances where people, there's been one accident with just one person involved, and generally it turns out that they're not injured or they're okay. But then somebody or two people try to help and jump in the middle of traffic, and then all of a sudden it's kind of like a human game of Frogger. And,
not
and every once in a while you lose.
Yeah.
So they end up getting injured, and all they meant to do is, try to help.
Yeah,
exactly. We need to take a little break.
We do.
And this is Home Repairs and Solutions. We'll be right back. Now, if you've got a problem and you don't know what to do, your siding's going bad and you're plagued with green mildew. Well, your faucets, they all drip and your sinks are all clogged up too. Well, there's no need to worry. I'll tell you what you can do. Just call Home Repairs and Solutions. Home Repairs and Solutions. They'll fix your windows, they'll fix your house. They'll even tell you how to get rid of a mouse. Home Repairs and Solutions.
Here's news on the Ozarks News Network. The National Weather Service has issued a winter weather advisory for the Ozarks from 6 p.m. today to 6 a.m. tomorrow. Winter precipitation will turn to rain during the day today, then to a mixture of sleet and snow tonight. Travel conditions will be hazardous this morning and tonight. The Missouri Department of Transportation has announced possible plans to put a bridge on Chestnut Expressway across the railroad tracks just west of Highway 65. The $14.8 million project could begin in late 2015. And it will be next month before a Republic man will know if he'll spend the rest of his life in prison. 20-year-old Gabriel Roach admitted to stabbing 17-year-old Weston North in a secluded area between Springfield and Republic and then slit his throat. A judge will decide by then whether to sentence Roach for first or second-degree murder. For the Ozarks News Network, I'm Arlen Summers.
And join us for America's First News, Monday through Saturday at 6:05 a.m. on the Wall Street Journal this morning on AM 560 KWTO.
Some of the absolute coolest gifts for Christmas this year are at Outdoor Home, like the Outcast wireless speakers. You can use them indoors, outdoors, play music from your smartphone, computer, stereo, TV, and they come in 3 different sizes. Or how about an Aura infrared patio heater? They're remote controlled, you turn it on and instantly feel the heat. Or a Luft lighter? This thing can start your charcoal in seconds with no lighter fluid. So for the coolest gifts anywhere this Christmas, you better believe you just head for Outdoor Home in Springfield at 3107 East Chestnut Expressway and in Nixa on Highway 160. Outdoor Home, where outdoor living is always in.
Save up to 75% off accessories now through Christmas at Wireless Trends, where you can buy, sell, and repair cell phones, iPads, tablets, and more. Wireless Trends, East Battlefield, North Kansas Expressway, and 852 South National.
See Wireless Trends.
Tune in to Doug Rye's Home Remedies live call-in radio show every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. on KWTO AM 560. Doug is a nationally known energy efficiency expert. He'll discuss topics and answer questions about how you can make your home more energy efficient and save money. Brought to you by Ozark Electric Cooperative, Barton County Electric Cooperative, Southwest Electric Cooperative, Webster Electric Cooperative, and Berry County Electric Cooperative.
A winter weather advisory remains in effect through 6 a.m. tomorrow. We'll have a bit of freezing rain making some icy spots this morning. Otherwise, cloudy and breezy today. Temperatures rising above freezing by noon with rain for the rest of the day, high 37. A wintry mix for the evening, ending snow later tonight with 1 to 3 inches of snow expected, low of 30. Clouds will break for some sun tomorrow, breezy with a high 32. I'm AccuWeather's Kevin Snyder.
It's 34 degrees at AM 560 KWTO.
Well, I went down to the hardware store to see my old friend Bob. I said my roof it leaks, my rug's a mess, and my front door needs a new knob. I got squirrels in my attic, I got bats in my head. Well, Bob just leaned over the counter and he shook his head and said, "You need home repairs and solutions. Home repairs and solutions. They'll fix your windows, they'll fix your house, they'll even tell you how to get rid of a mouse. Home repairs and solutions."
Home Repairs and Solutions, brought to you by Spring Mountain Air, your authorized manager. If you have a question or comment for the show, call 862-9977. That's 862-9977 or 1-800-375-0056. Or if you text, you can call this number.
417-838-3192.
That's right. We finally got high tech this year, didn't we, Mark?
We did.
You can text us.
You can text us. We are high tech.
Well, not everyone likes to talk on the radio. So that's okay. If you don't want to talk to us on the radio, you can send us a text message and we'll help you out that way.
Yeah.
Some people are just shy.
They are. And some people, and if you're listening out there and you're thinking about calling in, call now. Don't wait till the
call now. Don't wait till we're down to 30 seconds because then we don't have enough time to give you the time you need. So give us a call at the beginning of the hour as opposed to the end of the hour, and that always works better for us. So
see, and there the light goes.
And there we go. Something I wanted to bring up. We were talking about vehicle safety and different things earlier. Once all this weather started happening and everything, a couple things that I did that I don't typically do, but I threw a blanket in the car. Extra pair of gloves, an extra umbrella, my rubber boots, just some things just in case you were to be in an accident or maybe you just get stranded because they close the road and you can't move. Then you have some supply, a bottled water, just a few things that I just threw in the car just in case.
Absolutely. I mean, those are all great ideas. In this type of weather, definitely a blanket, maybe throw in a flashlight. or two just to be able
and
to
I
signal
have a
somebody.
flashlight. Yep, I have a flashlight. So I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's better to do that ahead of time than be stranded and go, oops. Like last night, one of the things I did, even though I still had gas in the car, I went ahead and filled it up. Make sure I had a full tank when I left this morning, because you just never know. It took me an extra, 35 minutes to get to work today. So you don't want to run out of gas either. Typically, if you think, okay, I can be at a gas station this amount of time. Well, that didn't happen today. It took a lot longer. So just a little safety tips.
Just last weekend, coming back from St. Louis, there was an accident. So normally a 3-hour trip turned into about almost 7.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it can happen in a heartbeat.
So you're just sitting there.
And if you're sitting there and you're not at an exit and you can't go anywhere, you're just stuck. You're just stuck. So...
Yep.
And we do have a caller.
We do. Let's go talk to Harry here in Springfield. Hello, Harry.
Hello.
Good morning.
I've got a furnace problem, and I was wondering if you might know what I should do next. I had a igniter sensor put in it. The pilot light or the igniter sensor, wouldn't light the burners. And I went about 3 days after I had them put in a new igniter sensor, and most of the time, it will run maybe 2 or 3 days, and then once in a while it'll go off twice during the day, and nothing happens, except I get neutral air blowing in my vents. And I wondered what the next thing the person might do, to figure out what would be causing that. The furnace usually works real good, but I have to turn it off 10 minutes before I can turn it back on, after it blows that neutral air, and then it relights. But I have a trouble every now and then, where it won't relight. And the furnace is 14 years old. And
have you checked your flue, Harry? Is your flue clear?
Yeah, they're clear. And then I've also, checked the filters. I've got new clean filters in there too.
Okay.
But it's a deal where the person that put in the igniter sensor and everything said, it might possibly, could be a control board on it, could be a pressure switch or a gas valve. He thought those things were the most likely, to cause, the problem I'm having. The igniter sensor wasn't the
problem.
Problem.
Yeah, all of those are possibilities. Unfortunately, I'm not a technician, but I do believe that Nathan is in the office this morning, and he would be happy to discuss it with you. And if you want to call Spring Mountain Air at 831-4036.
Okay.
And talk.
I'll write that number down.
831-4036.
4036.
And Nathan is his name. He will probably answer the phone over there. He's in the office this morning, unless he got called out. But he should be in the office. If you get the answering service, because Angel didn't make it in today, then leave a message, and it will be text to Nathan, and he'll call you back. And he can help you with that, Harry.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for listening and for calling in today.
Yeah, thank you, Harry. It's a good call. It's this time of year, you don't want to have furnace problems.
No, you don't. And it's Murphy's Law. If you're going to have a problem, it's going to be on the crappiest, coldest day of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Or it's going to be Christmas morning or, just the most inopportune times.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that's just the way it goes.
I had a sewer line clog up on Christmas Eve one year.
Of course.
And, it was.
That's wonderful.
It was really bad.
You must have been bad that year, Mark.
Apparently I was.
You didn't get coal in your stocking. You got a clogged...
I got a clogged sewer line. That's what I got. Yeah.
Not fun. Speaking of stockings, I had a question for you earlier, Jerry. I have a insert in my fireplace and a mantle and all that, and I hang my stockings along there. How important is it for me to take those stockings down if I put a fire in an insert?
Very important at that point. Once you get that fire going in there, it shouldn't be directly above because that heat's going to travel up. Right above them.
Okay.
So they should be at least. We like to keep anything flammable like 3 feet away.
Okay, because I have a rock, a natural rock fireplace, not
Yes.
whatever fake rock or whatever, and I was thinking about that the other day. I just put a little log in there and just for fun. I don't use it for heat per se, but I just wanted a little fire, so I don't build a big fire in there.
Right.
And I was sitting there, I was watching a movie, and I looked over and I thought, I wonder if I should take those stockings down.
Well, and another thing depends if you've got what type of screen you have in front of your fireplace. We always recommend that you have something in front of.
Well, mine is all closed in because
Okay.
it's an insert,
The
so
insert.
it's got the doors and the glass, and it's all enclosed, but still.
Well, in that instance, you're probably pretty safe. Just be careful when you open the doors to put anything in there.
Yeah.
Or take anything out, because at that point, that's going to be safe.
Yeah, usually I just start a couple logs and then I just let it burn out. I don't add, or it's just for just something
Just so
pretty
they
for
don't
me
hang
to
down
look
and
at.
touch like the top of the doors.
No, they
or
don't.
anything.
No,
Yeah,
they
so
don't.
no, then you'd be fine.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Did
We have
you-
another caller.
Did you hang him there with care? And
Always,
hope that
Mark.
St.
I do
Nicholas
everything
would soon
carefully.
be there?
I hope I do everything carefully, Mark.
Okay.
We better go to the caller.
I think we better. Go ahead, Carol.
Hi. We've got, talk about terrible days and things happening. Mine's not a furnace. Mine's leaking, gutters, and now it's coming in my house. And,
You have water leaking inside your home. Is that what you're saying, Carol?
yeah.
Are your gutters
And-
cleaned out?
Well, see, no, I don't know, but we don't have any trees, so
But do your neighbors, do you have trees?
Yeah. Our
Okay.
neighbors have trees.
Okay.
And so, one of the places that's leaking is where there is electrical line for we never put it in, but it's a thing for a ceiling fan, and it's actually dripping down. Could that cause a fire
Dripping down on the.
on the floor?
Through where the
just
ceiling fan is installed?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, if there's power going to that ceiling fan, that could. Technically, yes, it could. It would just depends the condition of the wiring, and the reason it's probably leaking there is the ceiling was probably built, and that's the low point where that ceiling fan is. So water's probably coming in one of the structural members and just running down the edge of that, and then coming out at the lowest point.
Well, it's a fairly new roof, and I mean we haven't had it on very long, but I see our gutters they leak, and so I figure, well, that's probably what's causing it, but.
Carol, this is going to be a common problem that's going to happen with a lot of people right now.
Yeah.
What happens, whether it's just like I don't have any trees, but my neighbors do, so my gutters fill up.
My daughter's is the same way.
Yeah, but what happens this time of year is, we had these cold temperatures, and all this snow and stuff, so it all sits there and it freezes, and it don't go anywhere. When it does thaw, we get the water, since it has no place to go, it pushes back up under your shingles.
Oh.
And it don't matter if it's a new roof. New roofs are just as apt to do it as an old roof because they haven't had a lot of time to seal down.
Yeah.
And so it is a common problem when we have weather like we are right now. It's called ice damming, and and it'll happen right there at the gutter. The water sits there; it don't go anywhere, so it pushes back up under your shingles. Because the daytime, like right now, things are kind of thawing. We're right there at that temperature. We got the rain.
Right.
Tonight it's going to freeze, and it's going to push right back under the edge of that shingles. It doesn't mean you got a bad roof or anything. That's just typical that it happens.
Well, just have to get your gutters cleaned.
Get your gutters cleaned out as quick as you can and get
what
water
we're gonna
flowing.
do.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for calling today, Carol.
But I would be concerned if there is live power going to that.
And it's
to
dripping
that
down
box
through.
and it's dripping down. Yeah.
I wouldn't turn the ceiling fan on.
No, probably wouldn't either.
No. Nope. And I'd try to get them gutters cleaned out as quick as I could.
Yeah.
So.
That would be the main thing. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for people that have a lot of problems with that, they do make cables that goes in guttering that are very low voltage, and they put out heat that'll help melt that. Of course, it's not a factor now because if you've got ice in there, it's not gonna.
Yeah. Right.
But there is things that you can get to put in your gutters. But the best thing is just keep them clean. I fail on that because mine's full of leaves.
Well, my daughter didn't have trees, but her neighbor does.
Yeah.
And so when her boyfriend was putting the lights on the house, the Christmas lights on. As he was doing that, he cleaned the gutters out at that time, which thank goodness, because now we have all this other mess happening. But yeah, just because you don't have trees in your yard doesn't mean that you're not getting stuff from neighbors or different places, because that stuff travels quite a distance.
Oh yeah, it does.
When the wind's blowing and blowing all that stuff off, then you're just going to get in somewhere.
Yep, absolutely right.
So, unfortunately, now she's got ice on top of it, and it's just kind of a mess.
Yeah, but like I say, this time with this kind of weather we're having, we haven't had a whole lot of this over the last couple of years. But I remember a few years ago, we had a lot of ice and rain and stuff, and there was people just going crazy because they was having roof leaks. My roof's never leaked before. Why is it leaking now? Well, because it's just what we deal with here in the Ozarks.
It is.
And it will just freeze and thaw and push right back up under the shingles.
And it kind of wicks under there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a wicking action.
Yeah, because you think water won't run uphill, but when it freezes and then thaws, it has nowhere to go, so it pushes itself right back up under there.
Yeah. Which is kind of a interesting way to think about it, because you think that it would just run off, but not always.
Not always.
Not always.
No, you bring up a good part, Mark, about the everybody remembers the ice storm. And of course, this time of year, something like that happens. There could be power outages.
Sure.
And so people are using generators. So that's all. That was a big concern.
Plug-in heaters.
Yes, portable heaters. At that point, just make sure they're safely made and have a safety rating, and just use them properly according to the recommendations. They pretty much treat them like a candle or Christmas lights. You go to bed, those should be turned off. Shouldn't be left on all night. And definitely with the generators, what we saw a lot of people were just, they don't want to go outside and start the generator, and they didn't want anybody to steal it, so they would just put it in their garage, the attached garage to the house.
Right.
And
forgetting
run it?
that's a motor. Yeah. And it's a motor, so it runs carbon monoxide constantly.
Sure.
And so people thought, well, if I open up my garage door a little bit, that'll vent it out. And that's not really the case. So if they have an attached garage, that's definitely not the place for your generator. And if you're afraid somebody's going to steal it at that point, I would just secure it somehow outside, stakes or chains or something. But
so it makes it harder to steal.
Yes, absolutely. So.
And speaking of carbon monoxide detectors, do you guys still provide those? I think the last time you were on, you had some sort of program where the fire department could get you a carbon monoxide detector. You didn't have one, or
we have smoke alarms or smoke detectors.
Okay, smoke detectors.
Yes,
okay,
you can call
not carbon monoxide.
Yes, anyone in the city of Springfield can call 864-1500 and ask the request for a smoke detector to be put in their home.
Okay.
And we'll have a fire crew come out, survey your house and make sure where the best place is to put that. Absolutely, and that's a great thing.
So there's no reason for anyone living in Springfield not to have a smoke detector in their
Absolutely.
house.
In fact, a lot of the neighboring departments do the same program as well. A lot of the local vendors are very generous and assist us with this, and there's grants out there for that. In fact, we just received a grant to get hearing-impaired smoke alarms for the deaf and hard of hearing.
Oh,
yes.
wow. So what is it? Does it have like a light or something on it?
It has an extremely bright strobe light, and then in case you're just hard of hearing and not completely deaf, it has an alarm that's probably about 2.5 times louder than a normal smoke alarm.
Oh, wow.
So,
wow.
And they have several different types, but this type, definitely the bright strobe light and very loud alarm. So that was wonderful to get that, because that's a pretty big need in this community. But yes, anybody. There's really no reason that anybody should not have a working smoke alarm in their house.
Last time you were on, you talked about that, and that was 2011. 2012, I had open heart surgery, and I realized that our smoke detectors was not, I don't even know that we had any in our house. And so I remembered you talking about that, and I called, and the guys came out and put a smoke detectors in and everything. It was great. I mean, that's an awesome program right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a phone call away.
Yeah.
In fact, you guys talked about you're getting all high tech here on the show. Same thing with the department. And, the department's had to branch out. It's a good way to communicate. We have a website. We have a Facebook page that people can go to. and it has all kinds of information about, how if you're interested in becoming a firefighter or all the different programs. And we've talked about a lot of safety things here, and you can go to the City of Springfield website. So you can Google, Springfield, Missouri, or just go to springfieldmo.gov, and that gives all the services in the city, and just click on fire department.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the fire department, it'll tell you all about the department, anything you want to know, statistics. But then there's an educational resources. And so for your children, no matter what age they are, and the people in charge of that have been great. They've broken it down by grade level. So no matter what grade your children are at, there's resources in there that is at their learning level, they can understand, so that can all be printed off for them to, be educated about fire safety. And then there's a kids page as well. They have coloring pages and different things to help teach them about things. And then probably another website that's listed on there is sparky.org. Great to be interactive with the kids to talk about fire safety and go that route. So it's been pretty popular for us, and then we've even had a lot of people inquire. We've pulled people from all across the country to join the department, and they're like, how do you find out about us? Oh, your Facebook page.
Oh, that's great. And what a great way to teach your children. It's best to teach them before it happens.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Not after.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know many, many, many years ago, some friends of ours, their house caught on fire. They were in a 2-story house. They all got out. The little boy was, I can't remember what age he was, but he was in his underwear, ran outside, realized he just was in his underwear, ran back in. No one knew he went back in, and the last they saw was his face and his handprints in the upstairs window. You don't ever want to have that happen.
No.
Ever.
Yeah. So educate your children.
Your children.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Yep. So, man, it's been great having you back on.
Well, thank you so much. It's great to be back.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jerry.
So, doing anything special to stay in?
I'm hanging out with the book club ladies on Sunday. We're doing our brunch and our Christmas party, so I'm looking forward to that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
It will be.
Hey, just real quick, I want to say, since me and my country music, the great Ray Price, the Cherokee Cowboy, is in the last days of his life, and so it's coming to an end. So just want to pass that along to everybody. So this is Home Repairs and Solutions. We're heard every Friday morning from 10 to 11 right here on AM 560 KWTO.